Hello, everyone. If you are watching the replay, please put hashtag replay because I would love to know. And I am just going to post a comment here really quickly. If you are new to me, welcome. I am Dr. Marvette Lacy. I work with doctoral students to write their dissertations in 12 months or less, only using 10 hours or less a week. And so I am excited to come and talk to y'all today. Today's topic is ghosting during your doctoral program. And I'm going to start off with a story about me because I don't want you to feel like I'm somebody who just has it all together. Because y'all, I don't. People come to me and they think that I just, because I talk about, making plans and being organized and like doing all this work in 10 hours, that I must be some superhuman machine, and I'm not. Just last year about this time, I was involved in a research team that I was really excited about. Like, I was looking forward to this. It was a long project. It was a part 2 of a project, and life started lifing, y'all. Life started lifing, and no matter how much I wanted to be part of the group, I did not have the capacity, but I was too ashamed. I'll say that. I was too ashamed to admit that my life was falling apart, like literally falling apart. And I just kept trying to keep all the balls in the air till one of the team members came to me and was like, listen, sis, like, we trying to move forward and you holding us up. And I get that there's a lot going on in your life, but we're going to have to tell you to sit this one out and hopefully you can do the next one. And I was crushed, y'all. I was so crushed because I felt like I disappointed them. I felt like I let them down. My brain was like, I ruined the project, right? All these things that wasn't necessarily true, but the feelings were real. The feelings were real. And that is just a reminder of the many reminders that I have of there are going to be seasons, whether I want to or not, that I'm going to ghost. And it's not because I don't care about the people's time or energy. It's not because I want to be that person, but there are real circumstances that ghosting just happens. And maybe you can relate to this depending on where you are in your process, your life, because, hey, Dr. Mays, but depending on where you are, you may be feeling like I'm not showing up at the level I want to show up at. People are dependent on me and I can't do it. And you may be in your mind, because at least I know this is how I am. I'm like, it's not that hard. All you have to do is fill in the blank, right? If you find yourself having a conversation about all you have to do is, and that's on repeat. Like, all you have to do is send that email. All you have to do is write this one email, like this one email, this one page. All you have to do is do a reference page. All you have to do is schedule a meeting, whatever it is. If it was as easy as telling yourself, all I have to do is, then listen, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And so the first thing, like, if you don't take anything else from this conversation, what I want to tell you as someone who goes through seasons of this, that the most beneficial thing that you could do for yourself and everyone involved is to accept, yes, sometimes I'm going to have these seasons. And yes, it's the reality of my situation. I want you to start with accepting reality, accepting what is. Whether you haven't shown up to class for weeks, you haven't texted those people back in months, right? You meant to call so-and-so, but now you feel like too much time has gone by and you don't know how to do that. Whatever the ghosting situation is, accept that, yeah, that's what I did. Because when we can accept the thing, it starts to remove the shame from it. Shame is what's eating you up. Shame is the thing that will make you feel so awful on the inside. Shame is what's feeding that critical voice that's telling you, see, that's why you don't have blah, blah, blah. Like, this is why people don't trust you, or this is why you don't have leadership positions, or this is why you won't finish the dissertation, or this is why you won't graduate. Whatever that voice is telling you, shame is feeding that voice. And the way that we start to reduce shame is we speak truth to it. We name a thing. We like, I did not show up to that meeting, right? So in my situation, I didn't do my part of the research team. I let weeks go by. It is not saying it from a place of, and that's why I'm an awful person. It's just simply naming, this is what happened. Once you can get to a place of naming, like, this is what happened, then you want to put an end on the end of that. Like, I didn't show up for 3 weeks and I was dealing with life. I didn't call that person back and I was taking care of myself. I didn't write any pages and that's okay. Because when we can start to put end on the things, we further remove the shame from it. Where we get ourselves in trouble is thinking like we're supposed to be this perfect versions of ourselves all the time and that we should be superhuman and that life don't ever happen to us. And when we are so caught up in our shame, we don't tell people the truth. We don't even tell ourselves the truth, and we definitely don't tell people the truth. So when you don't tell people the truth, they don't know what's going on with you because you are over here trying to be superhuman and you're trying to keep all the balls up in the air. You're not being honest about you need help. You need help, or you can't do the thing that they ask you to do right now. If y'all are just coming in, tell me, hey, how you doing? And if you have questions or you want any coaching, whether it's about this topic or something else, let me know. I'll be happy to coach you. But the thing is, when you're ghosting people, is to first be honest about why are you ghosting? And to even say, I'm ghosting right now, to have the self-awareness of I'm ghosting. And this is why. And that reason is okay. I don't care what the reason is. It's okay. It has to be okay. Why? Because it happened and we can't argue with reality. Excuse me, y'all. I've been talking all day and it's only when I come on Instagram that my voice gets to like clogging up. I think the chakra is trying to tell me something. But we first have to accept reality, because then when we can accept reality, we can start to reduce the shame. When we can reduce the shame, then we can start to take responsibility. So going back to my example about being removed from a research team, I had to eat that. I had to be like, yeah, because I wasn't showing up and I wasn't doing my part. And we can hold space for my life is falling apart, a relationship is ending, I don't know where I'm going to live. We can hold space for all those things. And it doesn't change the impact of me not showing up to this research team. And that doesn't mean that those people didn't care about me or they didn't want to support me. It's just for this one research team, I wasn't going to be a part of it, but they were still going to show up and be friends and help me. Where we get into trouble is we start to convolute everything. You think that if you don't turn in a draft to your chair, or you don't turn in that assignment, or you don't, start your exam process, you think that that one thing determines if you're going to graduate or not. Those are separate. But if you are only having this conversation up here and you're not talking to people to say, here's what I'm going through, here's how it's impacting me, here's how I need help, you will get caught up in that cycle. I'm looking at my notes if you see me looking down. This requires you to be courageous. I know what I'm saying sounds really simple, and I'm sure some of y'all gonna tell me, you don't know what it's like. My situation is different. It's been too long. I messed up too many times. They're sick of me. I'm gonna tell you the same thing. At some point, we have to stop and say, yes, that happened. It's been this amount of time and I did this, and it's because of this, and that's okay. But this is what I'm gonna do moving forward. Moving forward will be hard. Moving forward will feel like walking through molasses in a way. Moving forward will be like, I'm never going to come out of this hole. But the more you can practice courage, the more you'll be able to move forward. Okay, let me see what y'all are saying, because I want this to be helpful. I just chose this topic, but y'all might not want this topic today. So let's see. I finished my master's and graduated yesterday. Congratulations. I want to do my PhD, but I feel not sure. Any tips or advice? I would ask, why do you want to do a PhD? Because my answer may shock you. Usually, as a blanket answer, I tell people, don't do it. Unless you have a very clear reason, don't do it. Now, that might sound strange as a dissertation coach. Why would you be telling people not to do it? It's because I find that we get caught up in the credentials, but not understanding why we want the credential. This world that we live in socializes us to believe that if you have the credential, then you made it. And what people are not being honest about, what systems are not being honest about, is that the credential is meant to be used as a tool. It's not the be all end all of a thing. So if you want to have a career as an academic, yes, that makes sense to have a PhD. I'm kind of struggling right now. Any other reason? I mean, unless the job you want to explicitly says the only way to get this job or this career is to have a PhD, right? Then I am like, then why would you want to? Now, some people are like, I just like the process of learning. You know, there's some free materials here, and I just would encourage you to do the free stuff. But knowing what I know now, y'all, I'm telling you, I would have been like, school, no, because this internet thing exists. Okay. What do you consider ghosting in this setting? I see articles about the PI ghosting or programs ghosting prospective students. Just wanted more context on what that looks like on the student end. Hey, Tabitha. On the student end. So what clients come to me when they say they're ghosting, they'll say things like, oh, I haven't talked to my advisor, my chair in months. I told them in, January that I was going to get them a draft by February, and now we're in June, and I haven't sent nothing, and I haven't sent an email. I haven't told them what happened. I haven't been showing up. What ghosting looks like for me, I'm telling all my business as a student, there would be weeks that I just didn't show up to class. I'd be like, class, no, I'm not showing up. I tried to ghost my chair, meaning I just tried to avoid communication with her, but that's kind of hard when you're kind of dog sitting for her every week. But in my mind, I would still ghost her in the dissertation because I just refused to bring it up. I refused to talk about it. If she would say, yeah, let's meet, I'd be like, yeah. And I would never follow up to schedule a meeting with her. So that's what I think about ghosting. And I'm looking at your first part of your question again. PI ghosting, like on the opposite end, when it's a faculty ghosting a student, a lot of things that I help clients navigate through is they'll be emailing their chair to say, hey, I would like to meet with you, or hey, I sent you this draft 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard from you. And the chair not responding to emails for days and weeks and months. I even had a client who scheduled a final defense date with her chair, and he didn't show up to the defense. To me, that's a form of ghosting. It is either way, is if there was an agreed upon, we're going to meet here, we're going to do this thing, and then no one says anything, to me, that's ghosting. So let me know if that helps. All right, y'all. Other questions? How we feeling? I want to take this time too, since we're here. I've been getting some questions about the Finish Your Dissertation program. I'm coming to a minute. I'm going to read Tabitha's comment. I can't ghost I'm on her research team. I knew she was waiting for me to get it together with my next dissertation milestone. Listen, if you could ghost somebody and you live in their house, anything is possible, Tabitha. It's called avoidance. I know how to avoid. And for a while, she just let me avoid before I got on her nerves too much. And she was just like, girl, turn the thing in. What are you doing? But yeah, I was in her class. I was living in her house. And she was like, why are you acting like you're not supposed to be writing a dissertation? Right? Ghosting is another word for avoidance, right? We can avoid in all different types of ways. I can look you in your face every day and still want to avoid having the hard conversations, right? We do that in romantic relationships. We can be around the same person day in and day out, but we won't talk about that thing that we know is going to start an argument. We know it's going to start an argument. Like, we don't talk about that. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about this TV show. We're going to talk about what's happening over here, but we're going to talk about everything but the real issue, because we know if we talk about the real issue, it's going to lead to some other things. That too is ghosting and avoidance. I'm starting chapter 5 today. I need this ghosting, but wife and kids don't take too well. Do you? Because if I'm tracking for you, you're making amazing progress. First of all, congratulations. But do you need them to leave? Or is there something else going on? And if you are willing to come on live so we could talk about it, let's do it. But you have written under more, I would say, pressing circumstances. Now, I get it's summer. I don't know how old your kids are, but they're probably at home more. Is it really them, or is it something internal that's saying, oh shit, we about to be done. About to be a whole ass doctor. Because usually that's what's happening. So, Tabitha, what's your next dissertation milestone? Let me know. No, it's definitely, yes. There's a part, people think that, oh, when we get to chapter 5 or discussion chapter, whatever that looks like for folks in your format, people think that, oh, when I get there, it's going to be smooth sailing. Like you probably thought at the beginning when we were talking about your proposal and you writing your literature review, I'm sure there was a part of you that was like, you get to chapter 5, like, why wouldn't I just go ahead and finish it if I know I'm so close to the end? Because your nervous system hasn't caught up to that identity of you being a doctor. Right? Your nervous system just got used to the idea of I'm someone writing a dissertation. Now I'm about to finish this dissertation and defend it, and they're going to be calling me doctor. Because you have to be honest to say, like, part of you didn't even think you would get here. Like, you wanted to get here, but you didn't think you would be so close so soon. It's kind of like, am I ready for this? Did I do enough for this part? Do I have enough knowledge and expertise to even write a final chapter, a discussion? But if you wrote the literature review, you can write the discussion. But this is more than the distractions or if you like what to put on a page. It's all about, do you see yourself as doctor? And one, I would say a tangible way of helping you is thinking about what's coming next for you. Remembering your why. Why did you want to finish this program? What do you want to do with these letters? What's the next step? Because I find that the people who don't clearly know what the next step is, or they're like, well, nothing's really going to change, I'm going to have the same job. To me, those are the people who struggle the most with chapter 5, because it's like, it's kind of like, why would I wrap this up and finish it when I don't even, there's nothing to look forward to. There's no reason to finish it. Right? Literature review, my program is sort of right as you go, so I have to submit chapters 1 and 2 so I can do my oral examination. I need to edit chapter 1, but I've been avoiding writing chapter 2. Is it because does it feel, or I don't want to put words in your mouth, what is it, why do you think you've been avoiding writing chapter 2? Maybe that's the question, right? Editing, we could do that, but why, what's up with chapter 2? Absolutely, it takes me almost an hour to pump myself up. I think I'm writing something good. Yes. Here's the thing though. My chapter 5 video on YouTube is good. I really do want to re-record it. Got the story of my life. I want to record everything. But even that, is it really that you need to know the structure? And I'm sure that's like 10 to 20% of that, Joe. Like you need to know the structure of writing chapter 5. But tell me more about what's coming next for you. Like when you are done and you defend this and people calling you doctor, what's next? What you doing next? What are you looking forward to at the end of this? Because there's a lot of writing, page amount, and I need to better structure my bodies of literature. Tablet, would you be willing to come on live? I know it's a lie because you're like, oh, it's Instagram. Let me know if you would be willing to. If not, how many pages do you have to write? Like, give me a number. And if you don't know an exact number, because I don't think it needs to be exact, but give me a range if that's easier for you to answer. What are a range of number of pages do you have to write? And what about that number seems overwhelming to you? Because that's what I hear. One of the biggest tools, so 40 pages, around 40 pages. You've written 40 pages. If we look back over your conference proposals, I believe you submitted things for me, publications, like different class assignments. What's 40 pages? Like, let's really think about that. What's 40 pages? I'm sure if I was to ask you right now, us just talking, me with my water, and I was just to ask you to say, like, tell me what your topic is. Like, don't try to sound, right, fancy or anything. pretend this is alcohol or something, and I was asked you, explain to me how would you describe your topic to your favorite TT or something? Like, how would you describe the people you want to work with the most? Where is when you think about your topic, where are you focusing on? What's the environment? Is it a school setting? Is it a community? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of your topic. And what's the problem that they are experiencing? If I was to ask you those 4 questions, you could probably talk to me for a good 10, 15 minutes about that. And if you can talk to me for 10 or 15 minutes about that, you could open up your phone and talk to your phone for 10 or 15 minutes and record it, right? So my topic is how college students use grief as a motivation for collective action. Ooh, I'm going to go somewhere else with this. So I love this, right? So if I was to ask you, 1, who is a college student? How would you define a college student? 2, what is grief? How do you define grief? Number 3, what is motivation? How do you define motivation? Number 4, what is collective action? How do you define that? Those 4 questions alone, if you just allowed yourself to verbalize the definitions, not going to look at any literature, but if I was just to ask you to talk about it plainly, how do you even define those 4 words? That gets you somewhere. Step 2 then would be, what do all these things have in common? Like, why does it matter that we care about college students and grief? And why does it matter that we care about how college students utilize grief for collective action? Right? I think I'm at 6 questions now. If you just allow yourself to just start talking out loud, record yourself, then you can take that recording and you can transcribe it. Once it's transcribed, now we can get into editing and moving things around. The focus right now isn't to get into citation. I strongly encourage people to not worry about the literature just yet, because you have most likely been talking about this for a while. You're not coming into this fresh, like you've never read anything. If I am willing, like based on me working with clients and what I know is you're probably overwhelmed by the literature and you're probably trying to read something and then figure out how to like reword it and cite it. That's too much. Just open up record yourself on Zoom. If y'all don't have a voice note app on your phone, record yourself on Zoom. I do this all the time. So I'm telling you to do it. Open up Zoom, press record, and just start talking. First, you want to start with defining your terms, right? College students, grief, motivation, collective action. Then you want to say, why is this even important? Why do we care about college students and grief? And why do we care that college students utilize grief for collective action? A 7th question, I think is where I'm at. A 7th question would be, and what would happen if this problem was not addressed? And you can allow yourself to just verbalize that. You would be shocked that you're probably already at about 10 pages. Because when we stop trying to think like the dissertation process needs to look this way, that I have to sit down and write it in one setting, when you can get out of that and you can start making it into smaller steps, which is, I'm going to answer these questions, I'm going to verbalize, I'm going to transcribe it, I'm going to edit it, right? Now you know how you think about it. Now you know what the argument is you're putting forth. And because now you know what your argument is, now you know exactly what literature to go look for. Well, I need literature to help me define my terms because I need a citation for that. I'm going to need some literature about, I said that it's important to think about college students who are in grief is because it's a major barrier in them persistent towards graduation. Okay, now I know exactly what literature I'm going to. If I'm going to go get some OG literature, I'm like, what Aston and Tinto saying? But if you don't subscribe to the white man in them like that, then you might like, what's some more updated pieces of literature I might want to cite, right? Why should we care collectively as a university when it comes to persistence and graduation? Now I know what literature to go and I know what to cite there. The challenge is when you try to start from reading, you don't know what you're looking for. And so you're just looking for article after article. But when you start from, this is how I think about it, and let me use the literature to back it up. Now we're cooking as an academic. Now you're talking about your argument because you have already been talking about this. You've been reading about this. You probably did this as a class assignment before or thought about it. You have knowledge that you just haven't had an opportunity to access yet. And this process allows you to do that. So I know that's probably a longer answer than you were looking for, but I hope that helps. I thought of it as a long assignment with multiple papers that are connected. Yeah, you're writing 5 or 6 papers, depending on how many chapters you are writing. Each paper is a 20 to 40 page paper on average, right? And so if you've been doing this in your class assignments, they've already prepared you to do that. We just get caught up in thinking about the enormity of it's a dissertation and it's supposed to be my life's work and it's supposed to represent so much. It's not. It's just an activity. The purpose of this activity is, can you design a research project? Can you conduct research independently? And can you defend your research? That's the purpose here. It's not supposed to be the best thing ever, right? It's the get out of the whole award winning process, because truthfully, let me tell y'all about how awards work. You're going to write your dissertation, right? You're going to defend it. When you go to defend your dissertation, you're going to be like, are y'all sure? Because this is kind of raggedy. And your committee is going to be like, yes, we're sure, because this is just an educational exercise. You're thinking too much about it. Just turn it in defense. Because then at the defense, you're going to get feedback from your committee. Number one, they're going to give you some comments and things to think about, especially as you focus on publications and presenting at conferences. They're going to give you a lot of feedback. Even if you pass without revisions, they're still going to give you feedback. Why? Because they're academics. Because they're academics. Academics always got something to say. So you're going to always get feedback. Now, there's some time between you defending the dissertation and you submitting for an award. I'm not saying don't go get an award. I just want y'all to know the truth of the matter is, you don't submit the version that you turned in to your defense. For your defense, you don't submit that for the award. You have time. Most of the time for awards, they don't want your entire dissertation. They want a 30-page version of your dissertation. So imagine taking 200-300 pages and condensing it into 30 pages. That's what the award is being based off of. That 30-page manuscript that you provide for them, plus letters from your committee and your chair and whomever else they ask it for. That's what they're basing who gets the Dissertation of the Year award from. So don't go into this process thinking it has to be perfect, like you'll never be able to change it. It's going to go through so many edits even after the final defense. When you go to publish it, you're going to, even before you submit it to the graduate school and ProQuest, you have time to change it. That is usually when people send it off to the editor or for someone to format it. It's before it goes into the graduate school or ProQuest so that it can look a different way. It's not the same version they defended. So this is a multi-layered, multi-step process. You do not have to sit down and there's gold on a page. Okay. So I hope, Joe, I don't think you're still on, but I hope you are writing. And I'll check in on you. All right, y'all. Any other questions? What's going on? I want to help y'all. I know this says ghosting, but if you are having any challenge right now, or you just thinking about something, you're thinking about a topic, let me know in the comments, because I want this to be as helpful to y'all as possible. But I can also come back later because I realized I came in the middle of the day and folks are probably doing work and whatnot. This dissertation is supposed to be a step-by-step process. There is no one who's sitting down and just writing pages and pages. Excuse me. There's no one, even I was just interviewing a friend who has been a faculty for a while now. And I was like, people just think you sit down and you just write out gold and you turn it in for publication. And he was like, no, I have to rewrite a manuscript at least 6 or 7 times before even submitting it to the journal. And then that's another additional 5 to 6 rounds of edits and rewrites before it's even published. Y'all, nobody is sitting down and doing that. Okay, well, I don't see any questions or anything, so I'm going to call it. I'll try to come back on later today, but join us inside of the Finish Your Dissertation program. It is a group program designed to help you write your dissertation in 10 hours or less. Most folks come into this program around their exam process because usually that is when you're required to write a literature review. And so they come into this group and I help them through the exams, through their proposal, data collection, analysis, and finishing everything up and writing it for defense. And if you want to do that in 12 months or less, I'm your person. If you want to do it more, I'm rocking with you. But what I do, what I specialize in is helping you provide yourself with the structure you need to show up consistently and discipline in 10 hours a week, because you got other things to do, like be outside, start a business. I don't know what else you do. Be with your loved ones. But for me, I make this dissertation process simple. I make qualitative research simple, and I want it to be simple for you. So if that sounds like something of interest to you, please sign up. If you're looking for more information about who I am, my philosophy, you can go to the link in the bio. There's a workshop. It is titled, Is FYD Right for You? And I tell you all about who I am, where I'm coming from, about the program, because I want you to make an informed decision. And I am here if you have any questions. Orientation is on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So I hope to see y'all there. And yeah, I'll come back later on tonight and I'll talk to y'all then. Bye, y'all.